that the greatest threat facing South Africa and the continent is that of AIDS.
For what we have been doing with people who live with HIV, AIDS, is what used to take place in biblical times with those who were said to suffer from what was called leprosy.
You see, when you ask the question, does HIV cause AIDS? The question is, does a virus cause a syndrome?
That we can't afford to be conducting debates whilst people are dying. We have to concentrate on ensuring that our people are given the drugs which are going to help them. This is a war. This campaign. There's but my view is that a perception has been created that we don't care for lives. We don't care for the babies that are being born almost every day by women with HIV. We don't care for young people who are dying.
The babies at this children's home outside Johannesburg have already been infected and orphaned by HIV. Some will meet birth and death within a year. They're the youngest victims of the AIDS epidemic. But as the disease spreads, the South African government is locked in a debate about the very fundamentals of HIV/AIDS. The government and its scientific allies are not convinced that HIV causes AIDS. Lives. Last year, the disease killed more than 250,000 South Africans. South Africa, 4.2 million people are already infected with HIV, the largest HIV-positive population in the world. Moses Kenyale died from AIDS 10 days ago. He worked as a telephone technician and was unable to afford life-saving medication. He's following his wife into an early grave.
One death in every 5 minutes, or I think it is going to reduce to 1 minute now. As long as we do not get generics or any medication, people are going to die in large numbers. So we need medication.
As other nations push ahead with treatment and prevention programs, President Mbeki is defending his approach.
Dear compatriots, now is not the time to lament. It is the time to act decisively and to act together. A step forward, we are launching a massive campaign to mobilize all South Africans to get tested for HIV. All children under 1 year of age will get treatment if they test positive. Initiating treatment will therefore not be determined by the level of CD cells. All patients with both TB and HIV will get treatment with antiretrovirals if their CD4 count is 350 or less.
I mean, if you look at what we've achieved since he has left, we had a mortality rate that has now been reduced drastically as a result of the provision of antiretrovirals. That should have been done way earlier, and he held that back. And unfortunately, it's when those kinds of distant views get translated into policy and prevent people from acquiring treatment that would save lives That is unacceptable.
Professor, given the progress, as you've suggested, that's been made during the Zuma administration, the fact that President Mbeki, or former President Mbeki, has jumped back into this debate and it's causing a fair amount of a conversation tonight, does it in fact matter at all, though? Is this important?
I think it's, his views are largely irrelevant. The fact that he's quoting reports that are from 30 years ago and 10 years ago indicates how out of touch he is with what the current situation is. We've made amazing strides. What we have done is just nothing short of miraculous. From a situation less than 10 years ago, where 25% of babies were being born with HIV, to a situation now where it's almost less than 1%. We are saving thousands of babies' lives. That's what matters to me.